I got an injection of PRP into my shoulder from my doctor, who I didn't even really have pain in my shoulder. He was like, "Oh, let's do this."
They love to give people PRP.
I know, and I love doctors. So
I love injections.
I love pills. I love injections. I love everything. So I was like, "Bring it on! Yeah, I'll take it." Cut to, I was like, I couldn't lift my arm. I couldn't ski. I went back to my house in Whistler. I'm like, something's wrong. And then I came back and got an MRI, and they're like, you have an infection.
You know, I got PRP in my head once, and it was the most... Not for my brain, but because I'm like balding, and they said if we inject my head...
Oh, yeah.
Chelsea, when I say it was the most painful thing I've ever experienced, because the skin on your head, it's near your brain, so it's extra sensitive. My eyes were watering. I was screaming, crying, and you're supposed to do like 6 weeks of it or whatever. It was horrendous.
And did they do multiple injections?
Yeah, they were shooting me up all over.
I've done that. I've done it.
It's insane.
But your hair looks great and full. I mean, it doesn't look great right now, I'll be honest, but it does look full.
We got back from Australia last night. Yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah, me and Caroline, yeah.
What were you doing in Australia?
I was there with Ralph Lauren for the Australian Open. It was so fun.
Oh my God, I love tennis. I love
tennis. And I love Australia. They have it figured out.
I'm totally with you. It's on my list of possibilities to escape to. I think Sydney is the best city.
It's genius.
Even though Melbourne is the cooler city, I think Sydney. Where's the Open?
It was in Melbourne.
That was so fun. I love going to the Opens.
And they figured it out. And I always like had a weird thing about Australians where I was like, you guys
are racist.
They are a teeny bit. They said that themselves to me. I was like, you guys have no problems. And they go, well, we're a tiny bit. A lot of them said there is racism here. And I said, okay, that's bad. But for the most part, they figure it out. Like, they just passed a law, and they told me not to talk about politics, and I'm not going to talk about politics, but I just want to say one thing. They just passed a law. The maximum amount of money you can donate to any campaign is $20,000. That's sensible.
We used to have that.
That's sensible.
It's called, also, they're usually, like in England, there's publicly funded elections. So you're not giving candidates anything.
It's just sensible. And another thing they did recently was they passed a law, no social media under 16. That's sensible. I love that.
Yeah.
I was talking no guns. And I was like, wow, so no guns here. They were like, yeah, well, we have a stabbing once in a while. I said, I take a stabbing once in a while versus gunning down every day. I don't know why this is the start of the podcast. You can cut this out. Anyway, I love Australia. Chelsea Handler, comedian, television host, 6-time New York Times bestselling author and advocate. You have a new book coming out. I'll have what she's having out February 25th, your birthday.
My 50th birthday, Tinx. I'm going to be 50 years
How does it feel? I love it. Tell me how it feels.
I feel pretty pumped.
You look great.
Thank you. I feel great. I feel like I wish I looked like this when I was 25.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, nobody tells you, listen, I live in LA, so I have access to all sorts of shenanigans.
Yeah.
And I get up to all of them. I get up to whatever I can inject, reverse, laser, nip, tuck. I'm all over it. So let me just put that out there, because I would hate to pretend that this is all natural. It's not. But if someone told me like, when, you spend your 20s like trying so hard to be like this, what you want to be, and to know that I was going to get there at an age where I wasn't looking forward to at that age, like I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped about where I am, the fact that I've created this life that I have, and I'm just really like grateful. And I know that word has been thrown around a lot lately, but it's a good word. It's a good practice to get into.
It
is to be grateful.
I 100% agree with you. I know that word is thrown around a lot, and I feel, I do just want to say, I feel like women say it 5 times more than men say it, and I feel like women feel like they have to say it more. That's just an aside.
It's better than like, journey. That was another buzzword for a long time that really kind of irks me. Like, I don't like when people say, I respect your journey, or what you like. Don't talk to me like that.
It feels so fluffy. What I mean? It feels so annoying and fake.
But I think like gratitude is a real practice, and the act of gratitude, the act of being grateful, begets more good things in your life. And I'm trying to bring in all the positivity, especially when, the world can be a really negative place.
I agree. No, I think it's great. I think it's a great practice to have. I think it really does bring more abundance. It helps you to live in abundance, and it helps you to be present as well, which I think is really hard for humans to do.
It's hard to be present, but that's the other thing. When you learn how important presence is the definition of blissfulness.
I agree with you.
Like, you get your biggest moments of joy when you are present.
100%. I started doing that like around a year ago. I was like, wow, I feel like my life's going really fast, and I feel really happy for this moment that I'm in. And I think that, if you're an ambitious person, sometimes you get caught up and you're like, wow, I need to do this and that next year, and that's my goal. So every morning I do this thing. I wake up and I say, I'm 34. What a nice time to be alive.
Yeah.
I look at myself and say, hey, we're 34. Enjoy it. Enjoy this day. The only day you're going to get. And it's just this silly thing I do, but it kind of helps me to be more in the moment versus like looking towards the next thing all the time.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing about being turning 50 is you spend so much of your 30s and 40s worrying about the past. Is that my phone? Perfect.
It's fine.
It's probably one of my doctors. They're probably like, don't drink before your surgery. I am only drinking. I just want to shout out that I'm only drinking because I'm promoting my brand, my Chelsea Handler's vodka lemonade. I partnered with Owl's Brew to make vodka lemonade.
Why didn't you bring me one?
Because I'm selfish, Tinx. Didn't you just hear that when I was talking about gratitude? The good thing about aging is that, you are not living. You spend so much time when you're younger thinking and regretting things that you've done, and also panicking about the future, that once you get older, you don't have time for that. I don't have time to regret something that happened 5 years ago or even 5 minutes ago. Like, fuck it. Who gives a shit?
So do you feel like you're more present now than you were in your 30s?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, sure, I have times where I'm like, watching a movie, I'm on my phone, I'm like, I'm like, have I seen this movie before? And you see a scene, you're like, I think I've seen this entire fucking series and don't remember it. So yeah, no, it's not like you can constantly be present and constantly be grateful, but it's good to know about those two things.
I think it's nice that it's coming out on your birthday. That's really that's tender. That's sweet. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was like they gave me a couple of options for release dates, and this is my 7th book, and I was like, oh, my birthday. I'm like, don't, and I was like, I could have two attitudes about that. I could be like, no fucking way, like, don't ruin my birthday with work, or I could embrace it and turn the whole thing into a big party, which is exactly what I'm going to do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to circle back to what you were saying. You can't go back to Whistler, sadly, and I watch your life on social media, and you have this life, and this is partially what your book is about as well. You have a life that you absolutely love. Like, you've constructed a life full of the things and the people that make you so happy. And can you talk a little bit about how that's different from the vision? You kind of open the book thinking about the woman that you want to be. How has that changed? I was about to say journey. But talk about the woman you thought you wanted to be, the woman you are, and how you've made this life, because it takes so much effort actually to create a life that you love. So talk a little bit about that. Your dogs, the people, you're always with like nieces and nephews that you love so much, skiing, travel, your job. It's really, really admirable, and I so many people aspire to have a life that they're in full control of. So talk a little bit about that journey. I couldn't help it. It came out without me trying.
Well, in the book, I open up with when I was a little girl, like the dreams I had, like what kind of woman do I want to be? And I was always really outlandish, I was precocious, and I was just like, this isn't gonna cut it, this family isn't gonna cut it. I need more money, I need more comfortable couches, I need a housekeeper. I just had these ideas about what my life was supposed to be, and I was dumped into this family, and I'm like, who are these people? They don't get me at all. And so when I was young, I just always wanted to fast forward. I didn't want to be young. I felt like a woman. I felt like a woman when I was a little girl. And I wanted to become that woman. And what that woman looked like was kind of, I don't want to say exactly what I am, because I think what I've become, or what my life has become, is way more than I could have ever hoped for. I never thought I could achieve so much success while remaining normal and grounded and like loving my family. And, you know, I've had my ups and downs, of course. I've had bad times, but I wanted a big life. I wanted to have a lot of influence. I wanted my voice to be heard, and I wanted to like love really hard and get loved really hard. I wanted houses all over the world. I wanted pets. I never wanted to be married. I never wanted children. I want lovers everywhere. I want lots of men. I'm greedy in that way, and I've managed to kind of make all of that stuff come true. And I think, and I don't say that to be self-aggrandizing, like, look at me. I say that to be like, wow, if we all look at who we were as little children and what we thought we were going to become and grow up to, like, it's worth reflecting. Are you where you wanted to be? And or are you on your way there? Because obviously if I'm done, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? So it's like, how far have you gotten with your goals and your dreams? And are you doing what you love? Are you happy, seriously happy? Can you be happy when the world is on fire? Literally and figuratively. And the answer is yes. Like, I've done the work. I'm not done, and I know I'll have lows again, but I'm so happy that I know myself so well that I don't listen to fucking men who think they know better or to tell me what to do with my life. I don't really listen to anyone, and I never have. I don't have to report to anyone. And I really never have, even when I had to. So I'm proud of myself in the sense that I have remained who that little girl was all along. Like, I haven't I'm not for sale. You can't pay me to say something. You can't pay me to promote something that I don't want to promote. You just can't do it, you know? And so I'm proud of that kind of like confidence.
Yeah. As you should be. I think your self-awareness is something that's come through not only this book, but all your books. And I think that that's such a key factor in your success. I think being self-aware and being brave enough to say, I want this, or, ooh, that made me not feel good, or, oh, I didn't like doing that, or I've had enough of this, is such a key factor in success. And a lot of people aren't self-aware.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you for saying that, but I don't think I became really self-aware until I actually went to therapy and learned about, how I was coming across, or, you know, my behavior, or, you know, when you do behave badly, how that comes across. So like the self-awareness, that is the kind of the gift of therapy, is the gift of self-awareness. You know, some people really just have no idea how they're coming across. And I'm thinking of someone very specifically as I say that, who lives in my neighborhood, and I'm just like, wow. I'm like, oh my God, like you have no idea.
I know
how inappropriate all of this is. But
well, a lot of famous people don't. They've kind of and it's, you know, you are so normal for a very famous person. You are so normal and you're very self-aware. But a lot of famous people don't. And I think that's why sometimes people are like reading the tabloids or whatever, and they're like, dude, like, why are you acting like this? And because people lose their self-awareness. But it's not just famous people. A lot of people aren't self-aware. I'm thinking of 10 people that I know in my life where I'm like, everybody's like, dude, what's going on? Like, hello, go to therapy.
It's not, I don't think it's limited to famous people. I think it's actually a lot of people are not, you know.
Well, everybody, I mean, my dream is we live in a world where everybody can have someone that they can speak to, because it does help. I mean, I'd be dead without therapy. I really mean that. Like, I need it.
I mean, it's nice to know, like, it's nice to actually be able to hash something out with someone who's not in your life.
Completely.
You know what I mean? Like, that is something that's specific to fame. Like, when you are a celebrity, there are so many people kissing your ass. Another disgusting, you know, quality that I cannot. I mean, I don't kiss ass, and I don't want my ass kissed.
Right.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
It feels very gross. But having people that will tell you the truth is kind of hard to come by. Like, a lot of people don't want. People are so afraid of conflict. They don't want to tell. They don't want to have any uncomfortable conversations, and that to me is just like so lame. Like, you should be able to say, hey, if you need to ask me something, I'm going to tell you the truth. And especially if you're asking me for it. You know, unsolicited is different, because then you're like, you look like a fucking asshole, loser. No, maybe that's unwelcome, you know. But if you're saying, do I look like a fucking asshole? And I'd be like, yeah, you do look like an asshole.
Do you think it's harder for women to be happier than men?
I don't think that men are happier No, I don't think that. I think that women actually probably, since we're more connected to like our inner selves.
Yeah.
I think we actually have the ability and capacity to be happier.
Yeah.
I feel like men that aren't in touch with themselves are just walking around like dumbasses. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't consider them happy. They're just like,
kind of more blissful ignorance.
Just like a chump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll have a beer. Why not? There's one right there. That kind of behavior, but applied to everything in life. Like, yeah, sure, that sounds like
just
a good
kind of like why not vibes.
Yeah, and it's like, but why? There should be more thought put into a lot of things.
You never wanted to be married. You thought from a young age, not for me.
I mean, I had fantasies when I was a little girl, like, about like my first wedding, you know, like what will that look like? Like me walking down the aisle, but that's just what I was being fed.
Yeah.
That's not really who I am. And to you're fed all of this romance garbage and all of this Prince Charming shit, and it's just so not true. Like, I have a bunch of soulmates, and some of them are women, and some of them are family members, you know? Yeah. They're not all lovers. And also, I want to have multiple lovers in my life.
Totally.
I want to have multiple loves in my life. I'm not looking for one man to put to be with me,
to fulfill.
That sounds really annoying.
Yeah, I don't think it's for me. I'm still untangling what I've been fed, as you say, and what I really want. But as I go on year over year, I'm kind of, I don't think that marriage is for me necessarily.
Really?
I'm kind of getting, and that's scary to say out loud, and I don't, but I don't know.
Why is it scary to say out loud?
I still care a lot about what people think, and I give a lot of advice, and I worry that people might think, oh, well, if Tinx doesn't want it, then she's going to give us a certain type of advice, which so isn't true. Does that make sense? Like, I'm worried,
Right.
And I don't know. I there's, to be totally vulnerable, like, I worry that men might hear that and think, oh, well, then I don't want to date her or whatever. I don't know. It's
because every man is looking to get married.
I know. That's what's so crazy. But I don't know. But I don't think that it's for me. I'm just kind of coming to that. And I kind of feel very similar to you, where I feel so grateful for my life, and I really love it. And I love my job and my friends, and have a lot of great stuff. And yeah, I guess a better way to put it is, I'm kind of good. Like, I'm kind of good with where I'm at, and who knows what the futures holds, but I don't know.
Well, I think what you're saying is very representative of like your, what's happening now in society, especially with younger girls. Like, women are realizing you don't need to be married. Like, that, how much joy you can derive from a career.
Totally.
How much, like, it feels, how good it feels to be independent.
100%.
I remember growing up and watching my mom kind of have no power.
Yeah.
And my dad, like her name wasn't even on the deed to our house at one point, we found out. And I was like, wait, if something happened to Dad, you don't even own this house.
Right.
Like, what happens to us? And my mom's like, what do you mean if something happens to Dad? And I just remember, like, and my mom was wonderful in so many ways, but she was old school and from a different era. And I just remember thinking, and this isn't an attack on men, because I do love men. I know people think I hate them, but I don't. I want to have sex with lots of them and spend time with them. And some of my best friends are men, straight men, actually. But I don't want to be dependent on a single person in my life.
Me too.
I always wanted my own independence. I wanted to own all of my own things. I don't want to owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
I want to be here because I want to be here.
Totally.
I don't want to I want to be really authentic in that. And that must be what men have felt like their entire lives, since the beginning of time. Other than, I love to take care of people too, but it's not the definition of me. Like, what I identify most with is my independence. Even though I have 85 people in my life that take care of everything I do, it's like I live with 5 nannies, basically. They wake me up, they're like, get in your car, drive here, get the fuck out of here, take your vodka lemonade, take your Vicodin, and fucking shut up, okay? Like, that is my life, but that's also kind of what I wanted when I was a little girl. Like, I wanted to just be this kind of like rich lady who could just do whatever she wanted. And I have been like, I've been taken down to size many times in my career, or tried to. And like, you're not going to take me down. And there have been times in my life where I have gotten insecure, where I have felt unsure of myself. When I turned 40, I went through this whole kind of crisis. I mean, I think they call it a midlife crisis because it happens middle life. You know, it's a cliche because it is true, but where I didn't believe in my value. I became insecure, and I had so much confidence and bravado for so many years that I was such a foreign feeling to me to be insecure, to be like, you know, nervous and worried about what everyone thought. And it just didn't feel like me. And that's when I did go to therapy for like 2 years, because I was like, let's wrap this up. Like, I thought it was going to be like a 3-week endeavor, you know? I was like, okay, can we fix whatever's going on with me? And then it ended up being a really long time. And, you know, therapy goes on and on and on and on, because you go, then you have to absorb what you learn.
Right.
Then you have to apply what you learn to your life and create a better, more powerful version of yourself, while, you know, remaining true to who you are. You don't want to like be a fake person. But I remember feeling that insecurity, and I just remember going, oh my God, this is what everyone talks about when they don't feel confident. Like, it was such a foreign feeling to me, and I just hated it. And it makes me feel, for every young person, like, I just want to inject people with confidence, because it's so infectious and powerful, you know, to really believe in who you are and to feel seen. But no matter what you do in the world, you know, you don't have to be in entertainment to want to be seen by the people that love you. You want to be seen.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's what I try to spend so much of my time and my platform doing, is I just want everybody, I really mean that, everybody, but especially young women, be confident. I think it's so hard for women to try to find true confidence. You know, it goes back to what you were saying about your mom not having her name on the deed of the house. That's how it's been for all of eternity, is, you know, and we as women, even in this day and age, have this sort of like hangover from the dawn of time, where we haven't been good at anything, and we haven't been allowed anywhere, and we haven't been, you know, we haven't had a seat at the table. So I too just, I want people to be confident. And it's important that people see people like you and hear the things that you say, because even just sitting here with you has made me feel more confident. And that's what we have to do. We have to say and talk about our dreams, and especially as women, say, yeah, it's okay. I feel good. I feel proud of this. I want that, because then other women see that and they can go for it too.
Yeah. And what can be really frustrating is, you know, men who are sick of hearing women talk about these things, and men who are sick of it, and like, all you do is bitch and moan, and it's like, and that attitude, and it's like, but if you were in our shoes, you'd be fucking bitching and moaning too.
Totally.
If we were the dominant sex, you would be bitching and moaning. So there is no end to the bitching and moaning, because it's empowerment is what it is. It's women talking to other women and talking to men, you know, especially straight men, about the you know, all of the issues that exist, and making it loud, because it's not going to go away unless it has to get as loud as possible for it to quiet down.
Exactly. Do you have the same therapist from the 40-year-old meltdown?
No, he started to annoy me. Like every relationship, you know what I mean? He was everything. After 2 years, he was amazing. He was incredible. I wrote an entire book about him. I remember when I told him, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about writing a book about this therapy experience. Like, do you want me to use your real name? Because like, it'll be probably a #1 New York Times bestseller, I told him. And he was like, a bestseller? He's like, a #1. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, asshole, I am sure. I've written 5. They were all #1. This will be #1 too, most likely. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but like, do you want to be in that book with your name, or do you want me to come up with a pseudonym? He was like, let me think about it. I'm like, why don't you go and think about it? And then the book came out. I used his real name, and then his price went up by $1,000 a session, because people were like, can we go to him? And he was pretty renowned in his field before this, before my book, but like, I was like, buddy, you want to be in this book, you dumbass. But he was amazing. And I spoke to him the other day, actually. Funnily enough, these scams, you know, that go around on Instagram, like reaching out on my behalf for my podcast.
Right.
They're like reaching out. Does this happen to you, where they're reaching out to all these these people trying to book them for some FaceTime live stream.
There's so many scams.
Right? So I get this text from him. This was just a couple of weeks ago. And he's like, hey, I'm looking forward to our conversation. Do you have a Zoom link for me? And I'm like, did he get one of those?
Wow.
Because I get, hit up all the time by people going, is this really you? Because it looks a little shady. Like, this is Chelsea Handler's management. And we're looking to book you. As if I'm booking my podcast on DM,
Instagram.
On DMs. And I go, oh, I'm so sorry. There's like this, that's not real. There's this scam and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Just like there's apparently nothing you can do to stop them from making you follow JD Vance and fucking Donald Trump on Instagram. I'm like, why am I being forced to follow these two?
No, it's nuts.
It's so funny.
It's nuts.
It's like no one wants to play with them. I mean, there are people who want to play with them, unfortunately, but like we don't want to play with them. And now you're forcing me. It's like the teacher's coming over being like, be nice to these two.
You're in a group with them for this project. Yeah.
I'm like, no thanks.
No thanks.
But anyway, so he called me and he was like, oh, I have, and I go, I'm really sorry. That's not real. Blah, blah, blah. And I hadn't spoken to him in a while. And he was like, I'd love to see you face to face. And I'm like, I'm actually talking to a new therapist. I just started with a woman because I was like, I should actually talk to a woman. So yeah, it stopped with him because it was 2 years and I wanted to actually have a beginning, middle, and end to the story rather than having it be, I'm not a codependent person. I don't want someone that I have to call every time. And I felt like I was, I had learned a lot. I had grown a lot and he had really kind of cracked me open. So yeah, I ended our relationship. And I think I went back to him. Yes, I went back to him when Joe Coy and I were breaking up to try to to see if he could help us. And that was a disaster. So after that, I was like, okay, goodbye.
You're like, that's finally done.
No thanks.
Yeah. And how do you like the woman? She's good?
She's good. I mean, I kind of use her very sporadically when I'm feeling insecure or if I'm not feeling right about something. Usually I'm really clear on what my decisions are.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing about decision making is just making one. It doesn't have to be the right one.
It's not about making the right decision. It's about making the decision right. Tony Soprano, I live by that.
Oh, I love that.
I'm so with you. I'm not a waffly person at all. I'm so decisive. Sometimes to a fault. Sometimes I'm too.
Yeah. Sometimes I make a decision and then I'm like, why does my house look like this? What is this siding? And they're like, you picked it out. I'm like, take it off. So I am like that too. I'm very decisive.
Yeah.
And sometimes it bites me in the ass and it can be very financially not prosperous, but yes, I think sometimes you're people who are indecisive can drive you crazy.
Yeah,
you have to make the decision and then go with that decision, and then it becomes the right decision.
Yeah,
and then you forget about the other.
And then you just
thing.
move on. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Okay, I loved the dedication in your book, and I also spend like a third of my life on planes. Can we agree on some of the most annoying things that people do on planes?
Yes,
you
please.
have the feet thing. You don't
I mean, do you like feet on planes?
It's insane.
Who likes that?
I saw a person on this flight in Australia, you guys, and they walked barefoot to the bathroom. And I was almost in tears.
People do that all the time. I don't know what they're talk about a staph infection. I don't know. Have you ever? First of all, that is so disgusting. Barefoot on a plane. First of all, they give you socks.
They give you socks.
Well, I mean, if you're in first in business, they give you socks. But if you're in coach, then you should bring your own socks. You know what I mean? Who's going to the airport without socks anyway?
No, it's nuts.
I have a friend that won't. She puts an extra pair of socks on just to take her shoes off during security.
Yeah.
And then once she's through security, she throws those socks away.
I love that friend.
Well, I mean, obviously that's a little bit over the top, but yeah, I find people on airplanes. There's so many things on airplanes that are so gross.
It brings out the worst in people. Everything annoys me. I become such a Karen, like not a Karen, but I become so sensitive on planes because everything annoys me. I'm like, why do you need to like rush to the front? Why does everyone pretend like they've never been through TSA when they get there? They get there, they're like, huh? They're like, take out my laptop. I'm like, you've done this before.
What about when they go, you have a fucking full thermos of water when you're going through, and then they drink it.
The theatrical undoing of their thermos. And they have water in the fucking terminal. That you'll be okay. It's 2 seconds.
But how do you not know about the water.
No, it's absurd.
I mean, you don't know that you can't bring a fucking jug of water on a plane?
No.
Like, you have to get that once you're inside. And then when they drink it, it's like, just throw the whole fucking thing away, you loser. I don't have time to sit here and watch you drink your fucking water.
No, it's ridiculous.
What else? When flight attendants are pleasant, and most of them are, they're a dream because they are putting up with such nonsense. Which is why I dedicate the book to them. But on planes, I also find people who want to converse.
No, it's horrendous.
You know, like people who get in, you know, like a perfect example is flying to Australia, which is there's nothing that brings me more pleasure than knowing I'm going to fly first class for 15 hours.
It is the best.
It's like your own little private Idaho, and you have your little cubby hole that you're in.
It's unbelievable.
And I have my pills, and I have my dinner, and I know I'm going to drift off into La La Land and wake up in Australia. You know what I mean?
It's the best.
It's a perfect combination. I don't want to mingle.
No.
I don't want to talk to the other person who's in first class for the very first time and are too excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't want, where are you going? You know where I'm going. We're both on the same fucking plane.
Yeah. I know it.
And I also, something else that annoys me about, I'm so glad you brought this up. I have a lot to get off my chest. People in the airports that aren't walking, that are they're standing in the middle.
Get out my fucking way.
Why are you standing here?
No, it's insane.
The whole point of being at an airport is because you're going somewhere. So get to the fucking gate or the lounge or wherever you're headed and look at your phone there, sitting there, looking around the airport. It's like, what are you looking for?
No. Okay, another one. When the entire cabin, when it's nighttime, or we're clearly having like a nighttime moment, and one person has their window up, and it's the sun of it's
so
God's like light beaming through, and you're like, hello, like. Do you see how everybody...
I've closed other people's windows all the time.
It drives me insane. It drives me up the wall. You want to know how I know I can't get married? Is because there was a man who was snoring on the flight to Australia, and I was so torn, and I was like, I can't decide if I'm being insane, but I almost went to ask them. I was like, his snoring is so loud, it throughout the cabin, it was reverberating. I couldn't sleep, and I was on very heavy drugs.
He had sleep apnea,
and
probably.
It was, I was like, oh my God. I nearly went, and I shoved him, and I was like, Tinx, sit down. That's so inappropriate. Like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Can't deal with that.
But they can tape their mouths shut.
That's mouth tape is a thing.
It is. That's
all
everyone's
the
talking about.
Biohacker bros do it.
Everyone's
Bring your
talking
fucking
about
mouth tape.
Tape your mouth shut.
Do you drink on flights?
I don't really drink on flights.
I'm with you.
I'm
which
not
is
a
so
drinker
funny.
on flights. It's so weird. People would always expect every flight attendant. Whenever the flight attendants love me because I'm always flying, and I'm always very good to flight attendants. You know, I respect them, and they deserve our respect after everything they've been through with COVID. But whenever a flight attendant comes over and they're like, "What can we get you, Miss Handler?" I'm always like, "Oh, I'll just have an ice water for my electrolytes," you know, because I have to be mindful of my health. And I just don't like drinking alone.
No, I'm with you. I know, I'm the same way. I'm always like, you know, everyone's always like, hey, shots. And I'm like, no, this is actually the one time that I don't drink.
Yeah.
It's truly the one time that I won't drink.
Me too.
I hate to disappoint everybody, but it's just like Caroline and I had 2 glasses of wine before we went to Australia, and we both said how much we regretted it because it makes you feel so much worse.
Yeah, because that's a long, that's
it's
a jet
just so
lag
long.
flight.
You just can't do it before a flight. You really just, that's my one time. That's a pills time only.
Pills.
Special hydration and pills.
But the look of disappointment on the flight attendant's face when I don't order a drink, they're like, "Oh, we thought you were fun."
Yeah, I know, it's the worst. I'm like,
to let people down that way. This is not the time for me to be fun. This is my sleep time. There's a very good chance I won't be able to get on the Wi-Fi because I'm remedial, and this is my time to be alone, to watch some dumb movie that I would never watch in real life.
No, I love it,
and to just drift off into my Xanax.
Sometimes
and
I just
sleep,
like stare into space, and I really like that. Like it's just because it's like. It's like nonverbal time, and I love when I can't do the Wi-Fi. This is really specific, but something else that annoys me is when you have to put your actual credit card numbers. No. Obviously, my credit card is in the stowaway bin above. Do Apple Pay. If you're going to charge me $45...
don't charge us. Wi-Fi should just be everywhere.
Legit. Like, enough. Like, just give us the fucking Wi-Fi.
Don't fly Air Canada. Air Canada's Wi-Fi. Oh, my God. That place... Air Canada should be shut down by the health department.
I went on a flight. It's funny you say that. I took Air Canada, and I was like, this plane is genuinely held together by duct tape.
They have no Wi-Fi. I'm like, guys,
Wi-Fi? They barely have fucking seatbelts.
What is this? Yeah.
No, it's not.
And something happened since COVID where I guess they don't clean the planes anymore.
They don't. Can I just say thank you for saying that?
In the side between your seat and the window, if you look down there, what you find in there is worse than anything.
That's where COVID originated, is down there.
It is. I'm like, you guys, did someone miss this fucking spot? I mean, I don't know what happened. It's like COVID happened and everyone just decided to lie down and just roll over.
And now the best part is they ask us to do it. You get on, they hand you the wipe. I'm like, oh, I'm going to wipe down my seat for you before we go on this flight. There was a pair of used earplugs in my first class seat on the way to Australia. I was like, I'll get these. What does it mean to you to be a good friend?
To really just always show up whether you're in the mood or not.
Okay.
Like a lot of times we don't feel like doing stuff for people, but certain people, certain friends really require a lot. And I like to be sympathetic and empathetic to that, but to really go out of your way.
Yeah.
It's easy to be a good friend when you're in the mood to be a good friend. It's less easy to be a good friend when you're not feeling it and you're not in the mood and you're cranky and you're tired. So I think being a good friend is figuring out how to show up for people when you're not in the mood.
I love that. And honesty, your Jane Fonda story.
Yes, of course. Always be honest.
There's a really good story in the book about Jane Fonda, you guys. So you have to get it and read it. It's really good. I like that. I like honesty. I like when friends can shoot it to you straight.
Yeah,
and just
especially
tell you the
now
truth.
when there's like no fact checking and so much misinformation.
Yeah.
Being in this industry alone is such, can be such bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just really refreshing. I mean, we could use a lot more honesty.
Yeah. I know it's interesting you say that because I feel like the amount of misinformation online and also just the sheer amount of internet that we consume has in a way affected how we deal with each other. I think it's made us you said something about this before, but it's made us less willing to just say what the truth is and kind of cut it to people straight. I don't exactly know how they're connected, but I feel that they are. Yeah. I think it's like dulling our personalities, or maybe not our personalities, but like dulling our social skills and dulling our willingness to just go out on a limb and say something. I don't know. It does freak me out, but I really value that in people. I really value when people can say, that was really weird that you did that, or
absolutely.
I really that to me really makes me think you're a great person. You're a really genuine person if you can be honest with me.
Absolutely. And to do that, there's like several ways you can do that. You could be a total bitch and be like, what the fuck was that about? Or you could be like, hey, that seemed a little bit off, or is everything okay? Like, I'm just asking. Yeah. Like, there's a million. You can be a gentle person while telling somebody the truth.
Do you believe in astrology?
Sort of. It depends.
Okay. I was just wondering because your book is coming out on your birthday, so I was like, ooh, is it like a special woo-woo magical thing?
To a degree, like it's 2025. My birthday's February 25th, 1975. I was born, so kind of all those numbers that kind of go together. Yeah. So I do to a degree. I believe in it until it's not true. Then I'm like, you fucking told me this was going to happen. There's this Asterian astrologist I went to called Jane Luna. I mean, I'll try everything.
For sure.
I'll do everything. I'm always open. But I think modern day astrology, like Western astrology, is not that accurate. It's very vague, and like being a Pisces doesn't really mean anything to me. I have like 6 Pisces in our family, and none of us have anything in common. So like I don't hang my hat on that, but I do find like I went to this Asterian astrologist once, and I did a phone call, and he didn't know who I was. You just give him your birth date, time of birth, and then he just reads your chart, like who you are, what kind of person you are, what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. And I was blown away by that.
Really?
Yeah, because that was like to me to a T. He's like, whoever you are, your voice is very important. Your voice is your tool. I don't know if you're a singer. I'm like,
no way.
Definitely not a singer. And, he's like, you are here he said, He said, you are here for women. Like, your purpose is here to be here for women. And I was like, wow. And then at the very end of the call, I was in Greece. It was like 3:30 in the morning because I had this appointment and I couldn't use my real name. And there was like a 6-month waiting list. So I waited and waited. And then I went to Greece on an impromptu trip. And my assistant's like, oh, don't forget you have that reading with the astrologer. If you're in Greece, it's going to be at 3:30 in the morning. So I had to go to sleep, set my alarm, wake up in 30. Talk about desperate, you know. I was like, fuck. I'm like, am I this desperate? And I'm like, yes, I think I am. So... And then at the very end of the call, I was like, hey, he goes, do you have any questions? I'm like, yeah, can you just talk to me about like my love life? Like, what does that look like? What can you see? And he said, that's really not your purpose. He goes, you're going to have many loves, but that is always a sideshow. Wow. He's like, your purpose, this is not your purpose in life, is to be, he's like, you are a queen with or without a man. Which is something I wrote in my book to every woman, because I was like, wow,
right,
that is so powerful to hear, because I felt boy crazy. I have felt boy crazy in certain relationships.
Yeah.
You know, like I felt, oh my God, overwhelmed. But I've never been a girl that was boy crazy. Right. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, I've never been like, I've got to get a boyfriend. I need a boyfriend. Like, I'm perfectly happy being single, and I'm also perfectly happy being in a casual relationship.
Yeah.
As far as like a committed living with someone relationship, that doesn't hold any interest for me.
Yeah.
Seasonal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
About the astrologer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to go deeper than just being like, oh, I'm a Virgo. Like, what does it mean this week? I think, but I had a similar experience where someone did a deep chart reading and she was so spot on.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, wow, this is so true. She was like, you have so much polarity in your chart. You want to be someone's little baby, but you're also like so dominant. You're like the Godzilla coming in being like, rah. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. I can never decide what I want to be the little baby or be the dominant one. And she said the same thing about, you know, she's like, you women, you're here for women. You know, she said something very similar.
Yeah.
You know, you have to use this. Like you have an opportunity to use your life for good. And I was like, whoa, like it was great. It was so interesting, and I loved it. It really stuck with
and
me.
it's also always encouraging. Like, some people are scared of astrology and psychics. I'm like, it's not like they're going to tell you you're going to get cancer.
No.
They don't say shit like that.
No.
They tell you the positives.
They do. And you can always kind of use it if you're that type of person. You can use it to propel yourself and to back up your goals and to kind of use it as a little boost. So I like it. I don't know.
Exactly. I feel exactly the same way you do. It's a nice boost, and it's a nice
boost.
Confirmation.
Yeah, once in a while, on a birthday or what.
I do like psychics too. I have a psychic, Laura Lynn Jackson, I talk to a lot. Yeah. I mean, we're friends, so I don't.
Has she been right about stuff?
A million things.
Really?
A million things. Like, she told me, like, gave me dates about when I was going to get like my Netflix deal.
No way.
One of my I mean, I've been at Netflix for a million years doing different things.
Hell yeah! Shout out Netflix.
But there was just like, when I broke up with the guy, she was like, this is I was like, are we getting back together? She was like, no, but you're going to hear from him around this date. And like, it was 6 months into the future, and that's exactly what happened. And I was just like, wow. Oh my God, like, she's really predicted a bunch of stuff. But I try not to abuse it, because I think when you get too close to those people, then they can't really read
100%.
You know what I mean?
You have to know. I know I have one friend and she's obsessed. She's like always finding a new psychic. And I'm like, you have to know when to have a little shot of it. You have to know when to dip your toe and go, okay, you know, you can't abuse it. You really can't. It doesn't work that way. I feel the same way about horoscopes when people are reading it like obsessively every week. I'm like,
horoscopes are just stupid. That's stupid. I mean, that's somebody sitting at a desk going, tomorrow you're going to get a blowjob. Like, that is just like, who's writing those? An astrologist? I don't think so.
No, it's like the intern at you know, whatever.
Yeah. And if you read every horoscope every day, they're all the fucking same.
Yeah.
You know, in the LA Times, it's like, oh, you're going to have a wonderful, it's all that. Yeah, that's pretty, it's insulting, quite frankly.
I'm dead. Okay, tell us about the lemonade.
The lemonade. Oh, thanks. So this is Owl's Brew Lemonade. So I've always, you know, I love drinking, and I've always been talking about drinking. So for this book, there's a story in the book. I opened up a hard lemonade stand when I was 8 years old. because I was looking to make some money. And I had a regular lemonade stand, but I realized pretty quickly there was not going to be a big enough profit margin for me. So I decided to serve gin, whiskey, and tequila, and I hired a bartender. I hired another 10-year-old who I taught to mix drinks. And my favorite drink has always been vodka lemonade, but they don't ever make vodka lemonade. And if they do, it's like sparkling. So this company, Owl's Brew, came. I found them. They're female founded, because I was like, I've gone down this road so many times, and
Sure.
it's been futile and it's a male dominated industry, so that always sucks. So it's called Chelsea Handler's Vodka Lemonade, Owl's Brew. There's 3 flavors. There's pink, there's yellow, and then there's mint.
Yum.
So this one's mint, and it's smooth and it's healthy. It's like 100 calories. It's just perfect, and it's exactly what I wanted. I did like 2 taste tests, and they got it right.
Hell
so
yeah.
it's coming out, like, we're doing lemonade carts with my book. So when people start book clubs with this book, we want them to encourage them to get Owl's Brew. They sell them in 6 and 8 packs. So thank you for letting me promote that.
I'm so excited. I love vodka, and I love lemonade.
I know you love drinking, and it's also 9:50 in the morning when we're doing this. So I would like to just shout out that I'm a boss.
No, I was seriously, I would have one as well. It looks good, and it's not sparkling.
No, it's
That's
not sparkling.
so nice.
I know.
I love a true vodka lemonade. We actually had in Australia, they made us a flat vodka lemonade, and it was just so good.
At the Open?
At the Open.
They always have good drinks at the Open.
They have such good ones, and it was like vodka and like a really tart lemonade, and it was just...
I'm so jealous of your trip to Australia. I went to Australia this year. I toured in New Zealand and Australia. This was your first time, right?
No, I've been before to Sydney, and I like that too, but when I was younger, so this was my first grown-up trip, and it was just the best.
Oh, yeah. I brought LSD to... so I was touring. I was going to...
No, they're really strict about drugs there.
Yeah, but who cares about acid? No one's looking for that.
That's true.
So I was with my cousin. We were going to New Zealand, and then we were going to Australia, right? I was doing shows in New Zealand and Australia, and I travel with drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
I have mushrooms. But they're all in pill form. Like, it would be hard they'd have to take them, wait to see
Test
the effects.
it. Yeah.
And then they'd have to all get high at TSA and wait for me to be in trouble. Do you know what I mean? And I'm so good at carrying drugs that no one will ever find anything that I have or find out what it is. You're not going to like look at a sheet of acid and go, is that acid? No, it's a piece of paper. So anyway, I'm traveling with my cousin Molly. She's like my number one. We are going to New Zealand, and she is a type A. She is a type A personality. I am type Z. I'm type A from 8 to 11 a.m., and then I turn into a type Z. She made me wear a mask on the plane. This was like 7 or 8 months ago. I'm like, really? And she's like, yes, I will not travel with you, because I wanted her to come with me because we'd have a good time. And she's like, I will not travel with you unless you are safe. Like, I don't want to get sick. She is a little girl. I'm like, you're a little girl. You're going to be gone for 2 weeks. By the time you get sick, you'll be fine again by the time we get home. Anyway, she's very anal. So she made me wear a mask on the plane. I'm on the plane. She's sitting across from me, like, our beds are facing each other. And I get an orange juice or something, and I forget my mask is on. Mm-hmm. So I take a sip of it. It fucking falls all over my shirt. I don't have any extra clothes on me. Everything's checked. So I have fucking orange juice on my thing. I go in the bathroom, like, to clean it up, and then I go to pee. And in my, like, confusion, I take my mask down instead of my underwear, sit down, and pee on my underwear. So now I'm covered in orange juice and soaked in my own urine, okay? This is the beginning of the flight. So I hate my cousin. I come back. I'm like, you're a nightmare. I go, this fucking mask just ruined my entire... Now I have to sleep in my wet underwear. She's like, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Anyway, we get to New Zealand. We go through customs, and, they're very strict over there.
Yeah, they're so strict.
And they're like, do you have insects? Do you have, lotion? Blah, blah, blah. Do you have... There's all these things. Do you have meat? And she's sitting with me, and we're walking through, and she's checking the list, and she goes and checks meat. And I go, what are you doing? And she goes, well, I have a couple of beef jerkies in my bag. I go, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Throw that fucking slip in the garbage, right? You have beef. You're declaring beef. I have mushrooms, edibles, and fucking acid on me, and you're declaring beef fucking jerky? A chomp stick? Get the fuck out of my face. And this is why I'm covered in orange juice, still smell like urine. I'm like, I'm already a red flag. So, I mean, that's our last trip overseas together, except we're going away again. But I will not fly with her again.
Oh my God.
I mean, seriously, can you imagine?
God. I am not okay. Oh my God. That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. And now just having been there, they're so strict. I didn't have any meat or drugs on me, and I still felt like I did something wrong. That's how strict they were.
You have to always walk through customs. I mean, obviously it's going to get out that I'm talking about this stuff, and maybe they'll be a little bit tighter, but I don't think so. I think everyone knows what I'm up to at this point. True. And I've been pretty vocal about it. Like, TSA has gone through my bags a million times and seen edibles and gummies in packages. They can't really decipher what they are. And by the way, who gives a shit? It's not they're looking for copious amounts of cocaine or a bomb. Yeah. They're not looking for somebody who needs edibles to go to sleep.
I know.
Or mushrooms to have a good time.
I need mushrooms to have a good time.
We get to Australia and we go whale watching in Sydney Harbor. And so we go out on one of those like cruise boats that's like got 150 people on it, and there's like 4 of us, and we go to and we get on the boat, and we're going whale watching, and so they take us out of the Sydney Harbor. You know, it's such a beautiful harbor because there's no shipping containers. It's all sailboats, and it's all commuter ferries going around to the little areas. And I take my acid, to go whale watching so I can communicate with the animals. And I am on the boat, and there are like 150 Asian people, and the 3 of us, or 4 of us. And the waves are humongous once you get out of the harbor. It's like 12, 13 foot, 14 foot swells. I have never been in waves like that, but I don't get seasick. So I was fine, and she doesn't get seasick. But everybody was throwing up. Like, they were handing out vomit bags. Everyone's throwing up, and I was like, look away, look away. The last thing I need to see is vomit. And then the guy who's on the boat is directing everybody where the whale pods are, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, if you look north, south by southwest, there's a pod of whales over there. And I'd be like, no, they're not. They're over there. I'm like, I can feel it. Like, I'm on a different zone now. Like, I'm in a different vibration. I am with the whales. So every time he would say it, everyone would run to one side of the boat, right? And I wouldn't. I would just stay put. And my cousin Molly came over, and she's like, why don't you want to see the whales? I'm like, there's a pod coming up right over there at 45 degrees. And she goes, oh, really? And literally, as I said it, they just fucking popped up. And she looked at me and she goes, what? I go, I'm on LSD. I go, I can see where the whales are. I don't need this fucking loser telling me to run back and forth on a boat. And my cousin's like, give me some. I'm like, no, now you want my acid? Yeah. No, you don't get my acid. I said, go get a beef jerky and fucking find out where the whales are, you dumbass. Honestly.
Oh my God.
I hope she listens to this.
Molly, if you're out there.
She's out there.
Damn. All right. That was amazing. You give out a lot of amazing advice on Dear Chelsea. So let's do one. Do we have time for one? Yeah. Okay, let's do one advice from us. Okay, Sophia, 33. I'm labeled a bitch. I work in a male-dominated media production company in California. We work with some high-profile creators and accounts. I started here a year ago and realized quickly that showing any sort of weakness to what some truly awful and toxic men are would allow them to use me as a doormat. I'm not exaggerating. The level of manipulation is truly outstanding. These fuckers will take advantage of even a shred of kindness shown. Over the past couple of months, I've committed to being more firm and standing my ground. I know for a fact they have taken notice as I overheard 3 of them discussing what a bitch I have been lately.
Oh, God.
This broke me. The opinions of these men don't bother me, but more because being labeled a bitch for being firmer. Where the firmer they are, the larger circle jerk. Do I confront, or do I continue to do my job well and ignore them? I know many women have faced this problem no matter the industry, but truly my first time experiencing it, and I need some support right now.
Listen, my advice is for like what I would do. And it's not for everyone, but I would definitely confront them, and not in an argumentative way, in a teaching moment kind of way. Like in a moment where you're like, guys, honestly, I heard you calling me a bitch. That's your reaction to me standing up for what I want. Like, actually sitting down with men can yield great results. It doesn't work every time, and I've done it a million times. I've had conversations like this, and sometimes it's futile, and some guys will be like, got it, and then they'll go back to calling you a bitch. But sometimes you can make a difference, and it's when you're not angry. It's when you are calm and logical and say, do you have any idea how that makes you guys look? That you guys reduce me to a bitch because I'm standing up for myself? Like, what are you guys doing? You would never allow yourselves to be treated the way that I'm being treated, would you? Like, you kind of have to paint a picture because men are clueless. They can't see our perspective.
Yeah.
They're not thinking, are you sitting around thinking about what it's like to be a man? No. I'm sitting, I mean, when I'm in my underwear, you know, like in my ski house in Whistler, and I come home and I light a joint, I'm in my ski socks and my underwear. I'm like, this must be what fucking men feel like, you know? But I'm not thinking about what they're thinking. And men are certainly not sitting around thinking about how women have to deal with that kind of male energy all the time. They do not get it. So I do believe that you can make differences. And even if it's a small difference, even if you only impact one of those men,
right,
there is a domino effect in that.
I agree. I think that's great advice.
I mean, this happened to me recently. I mean, I talk about it in the book. There was a guy who kind of pulled me over. I parked at a meter and I didn't feed the meter, and I ran upstairs to the nail salon because I had forgotten something. And this guy goes, miss, you didn't feed your meter. And I was like, well, who the fuck are you? First of all, I'm an adult woman. Do you think this is my first parking meter experience? Who gives a shit if I didn't feed my meter? Who are you? But I didn't yell and I didn't scream, because post-therapy, I understand that you can make a point much stronger when you don't lose your temper. And I had a conversation with this guy, and I said, I just want to like walk through with you. Like, you would never do that to a man. If a man pulled up and didn't pay his meter, would you yell at him to come pay his meter? You're not a parking meter person. Are you a meter maid? Are you? Do you think that this is my first time pulling up to a parking meter? Look at me. And then, you know, and it wasn't, I wasn't being cantankerous. We were actually having a conversation, and then he got really upset because I remained calm. And then I had to touch him to calm him down. Like, listen, it's okay. I put my hand on his shoulder. I go, I'm not arguing with you. I just want you to see where women are coming from. It's kind of like, it's not a big deal. It's a microaggression. Like, but if you're a woman and those kinds of things happen all day long, we're just so sick of it.
It adds up. We get
You're
tired.
not in charge of me. You go feed your meter, and good luck with that.
Yeah. Chelsea Handler, you're amazing. Chelsea's new book, I'll Have What She's Having, is out the 25th of February. You can get her book. We're going to put the link in the notes, link in bio. It's hilarious, but it's also really, there's a lot of lessons in there. It's a lot of wisdom and insight delivered in a really, really funny way. 10 out of 10. Where can they get the vodka?
The vodka, they can get that at any of your liquor stores.
Any liquor store?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm
Most
sure not every liquor store, but
we'll put a link.
You can get the vodka, and my Netflix special comes out March 25th.
Hell yeah. She's a busy lady.
That's a busy 50th year, girl.
Wow.
Yeah, Tinx.
Congrats.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I wish you 50 more years of brilliant success.
I love you, honey. Thank you.